Okay, so we're going to extend what we've done, and we saw this in class, of course, and we're going to take this into a zero index and negative indices as well. Okay, so in class what we found was, what we saw was that in front of us, and we can logically see that to get from 16 to 8 we divide by 2, to get from 8 to 4 we divide by 2, from 4 to 2 divide by 2, and so on. So if we continue that pattern, what is the next one would be 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So we end up with this result here, that 2 to the 0 is 1. Okay, now if we'd have started with a 5 to the power of 4, then all of these would be 5s, and then all of these would be 5s, and so on and so on. So this means that to get from down the steps, we'd have to divide by 5 each time. So we'd end up with 5 to the power of 0 is 1. What happens if we would have started with, say, a 10? Well, this 2 would be replaced by 10. All of these would be 10. All of these would be 10, and so on and so on. So how would we get down each time? Yep, we divide by 10. So eventually 10 divided by 10 is 1. So we'd end up with 10 to the power of 0 is 1. Now in general, and again we're generalizing from number to algebra, we can say that any number on the planet to the power of 0 is 1. Okay? Now continue that down. Continue that down. Let's go from 2 to the 0 is 1. Okay? Now, what would the next index be? Well, it would be 2 to the minus 1. Okay? And 2 to the minus 1 by definition must be 1 divided by 2, which is a half. So 2 to the minus 2, well, if I chop a half in 2, if I half a half, I end up with a quarter. And you'll notice that on the bottom, the denominator, 4 can be made up with 2 times 2. What do you think 2 to the minus 3 is going to be? Well, it's a half of a quarter. A half of a quarter is an eighth. And notice what we're doing every time. We're just dividing by 2, dividing by 2, continuing the pattern, so logically we're going to get these fractions every time. Okay? 8 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2, and so on and so on. Okay? Again, if we generalize, take the number into a general form called algebra, if we have any number to the power of any number here, we're going to end up with 1 over a to the n. And that's an interesting result, that we start with a negative power, but we don't end up with a negative answer. So a negative power, or a negative index, gives a fraction. Alright, now we're only talking about whole number here for n. We're just thinking of n as a whole number. Alright. So we end up with that result right there. Okay. Notice negative number start, ending up with that fraction there. Alright? Done.